Okay, this is Kelton. I'm your lecturer and TA. I planning this little tutorial so that you can create your own island. Okay, it's very interesting, just like what you see here. You got some landscape and water and some trees with wind and even with sound, right? And then by pressing the usual keyboard button, you can walk along on this island and explore the landscape that you have just created, right? And therefore you are like a god, and also be the human that explore that this particular landscape that you have created. Quite interesting. And in effect, you can bring in any kinds of 3D models to your world and to place it, right? To create some kind of meaning, right? This landscape is completely determined by you in Unity, so that you can practically create any kind of landscape. Let me try to import a 3D model into this particular landscape, right? Some model that you may have created in SketchUp or some other 3D programs, which is fine. So I have some 3D models that I can use, such as a 3D model of a famous designer house called the Fernworth House. And usually you should export your model as the FBX format, right? So that you can import this easily into Unity, including the texture of the house. Alright. So it probably takes some time to import the model. So one is imported, you see the model in this format here, and then basically you can just drag your 3D model into the scene. So when you are doing the play, you cannot do this, right? So basically you have to stop your game in order to do this. So now I have stopped the game so that I can find a nice spot to import my 3D model here. As you can see, I have the whole island. So basically I just drag this model into the scene here. Now as you can see, the model is quite small compared to the surrounding landscape. So basically what I need to do is to scale it, right, by pressing this button. And as you can see, this scaling handling appears. So when I click on the square in the middle, I scale it evenly, right, so that my building will comes up quite evenly. So so this is roughly to the scale I want compared to the trees. And let me move this model properly so that it sits nicely in this particular landscape, right? So it seems kind of nice that it's near this shallow water. Okay, so that people, so as you can see now, the house is in order at this landscape. Now at the same time, you need to make the house into a rigid object, so that when you move, it's become a rigid body, right? So that when you move, you won't be walking through the walls. All right. Now let's get back to creating this island landscape. Basically, you need to be installing the standard assets into Unity in order to create the island. Right, this is the standard assets. It contains everything you need. So if you don't have the standard access, you need to go to the access store and to log in your name, and then search for the standard access here. So this is free, and you can download it and then import the standard asset, and it will be into your Unity file like this here. Okay, so let's start off from a blank file to see how I create this island scene where you can walk around and explore. Okay, so let me start a new scene, completely new. So this is a new scene, right, with the sky only and nothing else. Okay, so basically I would start by creating a ground plane. So here I click game object, and under the 3D object I click terrain. Right, this actually create a ground terrain for your island to start off, right? So you can see this piece is set up as a white piece of squarish piece. Okay, you can navigate using your mouse. The middle button is the hand. The left click is the eye, where you can turn like this, and then you can zoom in by rolling the middle button, roll wheel, right? And you can navigate anywhere you like. Now, as you can see, this is only a white plane. In order to make the texture properly, I like to put some grass texture onto it, right? So basically I go here and click on a brush so that I can paint some interesting texture here. But before that, I need to set my texture. So here at edit texture, I click add texture. Okay, so add texture, I need to select some texture from my collection. As you can see, with the standard assets imported, you got quite a bit of these texture to select from. These are kind of the generic one, but it's good enough, so I add texture. But also be aware of the size. Here is 15 by 15, so when you add it, it will be placed like this, right? And it will keep repeating in this kind of texture here. Now if you don't like this pattern, like it's too repetitive, you can edit it by making this a little bit larger. So let's say 30 by 30. Now you can see the result right away. I keep increasing it, right, so that it looks more like a texture with grass with rocks, right? If I still don't like it, I can keep changing this. Let's say 70, make it even bigger. But beware that when it's get too big, the scale may look kind of strange. Okay, so right now I have these flat piece of glass, but how do I create the rolling hues, right? So basically I click on this item here where you can see these little arrows, and you can start just dragging on top of the glass, and you can see as I keep dragging longer, the ground starts to be raised. Alright, now you can make it even more effective by clicking onto a larger brush size, so that your landscape will be quick in rising up as you click onto it, right? If you keep clicking, it will be taller like that. Let's say I keep doing this. Now this will be much more faster as I get the hues cropping up much faster. And then you can adjust your angle, right, so that you can see your interesting landscape coming up, right, as you brush through the landscape. So you are creating literally a kind of landscape island, right? As you can see, at some part will be hilly above the water level, right? And let's just do it like that. And you can probably choose one of these brush nature to make things a little bit rugged, right? Although I don't like it, so I'm gonna smooth out this part a little bit by pressing this middle part, and you can see that I can make the landscape a little bit less rugged by doing this, kind of smooth it out, right? I can still do this, right? But then I can use this middle one to kind of smooth it out again. So as you can see, you are creating an island in the beginning of time. Now you can turn around, of course, and try to adjust, and create some other more interesting shape. Now, as you know, the island is not only just grass, right? At some point, you should have some sand and rock and stuff like that, right? So so in effect, you want to have another texture. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna add another texture under the brush. Add texture, and I'm gonna try to get some rocks, like a rock here. So now I have these pieces as a kind of texture, and I can and wrap around this, right, as rock, right? So it's not just glass texture. I can have some other type of texture on my landscape. So it's kind of fun to determine. Okay, and at the same time, of course, I believe the scale of this rock is not as satisfactory. I can adjust the texture a bit by changing the size. Let's go for the 40. Okay, so now you get more rocks, and I think I prefer some sand because there will be some coastlines here. so I would prefer some sand. So, and therefore I'm adding some sand texture here. Let me find a good sand texture. It should be presented in your standard assets also, right? So I add the sand texture. So this is very handy if I want a kind of underground underwater beaches and shoreline, so that when there's water presence, I have a more sandy kind of coastlines here. Alright. So as you can see, I kind of wrap around the island and with some sand. Like that. Okay, so now with the landscape getting there, I like some water. Okay, so I have to go to my standard access, and under the environment, I have several types of water I can use. This is a basic water, right? And there's a prefab, or I can use this water here, which contains some water also. So whatever, you can just drag these water, under prefab, you can just drag this piece, and it will have this little circular kind of water layer here. Now what you need to do is that you change the scale of these, right? Make it much bigger. Let's just see 300, okay? And this one is 300. So as you can see, I can just pull this water out, and this sort of cover most of the island, but still I want a much bigger water, right? So let's go for 1000 and see. Okay, so this is 1000. Now you can see that the island is really like submerging here, right? It's quite hilly, and this area seems much better with some sandy beaches here. Now of course you can change your water level and create, you know, more sandy beaches. Okay. Now how to create a walking experience on the island here, right? Now that you have created your island, what you do is that you first of all delete the main camera. You don't need it, okay? And in order to walk on this island, just like the first hand character, you go to the character folder, and in the character folder there is a first person character and there's a third person character. Now I want to just go to the first person character, and under the prefab there is this thing called a first person controller. Okay, so basically you just drag your first person controller onto the island, right, like this location here, and when you play, basically the first person controller will drop onto the ground, and you can start walking by pressing W as forward, A sideward, D as the right, and then your mouth will determine your direction of looking, right? You can look around with your mouse, right? S as going backward. So it's almost like playing a game. You control your character walking on the landscape with your mouse and your keyboard. Okay, you walk up the hill, right? You hear the footstep and like that. You basically start to explore your newly created island, just like a first person. Okay, you walk on the sand, and then you can walk close to the water. Now things start to look quite real. As you can see the water, actually there's water movement, right? It's quite nice. As you can walk under the water, it doesn't look quite real at this point, but when there are more script, you can create underwater kind of experience. So right now I'm walking on a beach. Now in order to make the world a little bit more lively, let me stop the game. I should put some plants here, and basically what I can do is to under the standard assets again, I can put some trees onto the island. Okay, so there are some interesting trees. Maybe I should go for the palms, more like a tropical island. Okay, so I just drag one here. Now this takes a long time, right, to populate the island with so many trees here. So what do you do? So basically, I like to paint my island with trees. Okay, so I click on the terrain, and I click on the brush again, and I click on the trees. Okay, and there's no tree defined here, so basically I add some trees here. Alright, so tree prefab, I can just add this, drag it right here, so that I add the palm. I drag this palm right up here, and then I add. Alright, so basically I can paint my trees onto the island, just like that. And I can determine a lot of trees here. The number of trees is 10,000, is quite a lot, so maybe I just go for 15 at a time, right? Not too many, right? So I just place 50. That's already still quite a bit already, you know. So I just click on this, and then I have a lot of trees onto my my island. Now things seems a little bit lively, and of course I want to have some wind on my island, right? So basically I go for the 3D object, and I select a wind zone. Okay, so there's a wind zone on the island, and I kind of want it to be around the beach, around here, this area, right? Okay, so when I play, now you can see that there are some winds blowing on my palm trees. Okay, you can see that. So as you can see, the island's becoming much more lively with the wind blowing, and now you can start to import a lot of different kinds of models onto the islands, right? A ship or a house or all kinds of 3D objects that you can find, right? Of course, you can also make the sound more vivid by finding some sound effect, right? Such as wind, right here, open space. So you can hear the sound effect of this is quite nice. So you can place this onto your island, right? Just open, just add to it. Okay, so when you can play, you can start to hear the sound on the island. That's quite an atmosphere here. So you can explore this landscape that you have just created, and it's quite amazing, isn't it? And of course, you can import your 3D model, import my incredible designer house again. You can import any designer house you want, of course. I'm just fond of the Fernworth's house. Okay. Takes some while because of the large model. So here it is. So again, I have my nice Fernworth's house here, and I like to drag it onto the Paradise Island here. Okay. And I need to scale it again, of course, make it larger. Right. And pull it up from the sand. So maybe I should turn it around. Just like that. It's not too bad like that. So at the same time, I need to make my house a rigid body, you know, so that it becomes a kind of good object. So let me go outside and try to go out to the wow, it's a long walk to the house. Well, I better find out where the house is. So it's on that side of the island. So so I need to move my oops, somehow it disappeared. I need to find out why. So maybe the rigid body is not right, so I need to remove this component. Okay, but this doesn't allow me to walk onto the house, you know. I have to walk through it, so I somehow need to set my rigid body right in order to have proper collision onto my house. Okay, now another thing is that if you don't like this sky dome that you already have, you can always change it. Okay, and here you go for the lighting window, and this is a default Skybox, but you can always download a lot of different kinds of Skybox and change it. Okay, such as this is a very good one, just like I did with my example here. So you can just drag your new Skybox into the lighting Skybox. Alright. And there you go. You got a new, totally new Skybox. Right? It's very interesting. Interesting look. Where it's kind of your island situates into this vast landscape here. It's quite interesting. With the sun setting and then the atmosphere of the island, right? You pretty much create a virtual world. Now it's a matter of how you populate this virtual world and what kind of objects you put in it to create meaning. Okay, so here it is, the first tutorial to create your virtual worlds.